here. What's up to the crowd? You can cheer. Staggering. Right on. My name is Jaime Black. I'm the host and founder of Dynasty Podcast. We are the first ever and longest running. Blah, 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 blah. With me, I'm so sick of saying that. With me, Emily Nejad from Celine Neon and from Bon Vivant Cakes. How are you doing?
I'm so good. Thanks for having me here.
Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, of course.
Hugely appreciate it.
Yeah.
We were just talking before the mic was on that you have done interviews with me a few times and you've been so awesome about it. But we've never talked to just you. Usually it's you and Maggie Kubley from Celine Neon.
Me and my BFF. Yeah.
Yeah. You guys are inseparable.
Yes, we are. Yeah.
But tonight you're going solo.
I am.
And I wanted to be able to talk to you about like some of the stuff that you're doing as a solo venture. But like, how is this year treating you? Let's start there.
So busy.
Yeah.
I don't sleep anymore or like have a social life, but like it's great. Like I'm really happy. I'm like working really hard, but I'm doing what I want to be doing. So it's satisfying.
For anyone who doesn't know, and we'll talk about the Celine Neon stuff too, but for anyone who doesn't know, you have this cake company called Bon Vivant Cakes that, how long has it been around now?
I put the website up this time last year, but I was still working my my serving job, and I was like doing a lot of other things and hadn't like committed all my time to it. It really took off this past May, I would say, and I quit my serving job in May. Holla.
Yeah.
I don't ever have to do that again, which is great. Yeah, and I'm doing cakes full time now.
That's incredible. So, all right. So I feel like the sentence "I'm doing cakes full time now" is like in and of itself really badass.
Yeah.
Last year you made a cake for my birthday, which is in October. It's right around this time. Was that one of like the earlier orders?
Oh, yeah.
Like
this time last year, I was doing cakes mostly just for friends and like friends of friends. And then earlier this year, I started getting orders from like random people who have found me on the internet, which at that time was like really novel and crazy to me. But now like 100% of my business mostly is just from Instagram and from people who have like found me through the red eye or like through various other media outlets.
Well, let's talk about that because the year you've had in terms of recognition and press is like huge. You had this, was it a red eye cover, right?
Yeah.
You had the cover of Red Eye, which is huge. And then it seems like a lot of small and notable media, like kind of everyone from, all ends started covering you from there, right?
Yeah. Honestly, it really started, the food blogging community in Chicago has been really, really welcoming to me. I made a cake for Everything Erica, and I was contacted by Chicago Food Authority and Her Tasty Life. And like, I don't know any of these women, but they've been like so warm and welcoming and really, really supportive. It's been really nice.
I mean, it's amazing on my end, just knowing you in real life, but also obviously being connected to your social. I have seen it non-stop. So are you just basically doing press and cakes and that is your day now?
My day starts at like 7:30 a.m.
Wow.
I wake up, I drink an entire French press. I get super cranked on coffee.
Right.
I answer emails for about 2 hours and then I start baking.
I'm picturing did you watch Breaking Bad?
No.
Okay.
I didn't.
Breaking Bad would have these like incredibly done montage sequences set to like great music, but it was them
cooking meth.
Yeah. But cooking.
Uh-huh.
And just like, it'd cover like 2 days or 2 weeks. And like, I'm just picturing your day just being like one of these Breaking Bad-esque montages.
Right. I mean, I've never cooked
but not cooking meth.
But I mean, I suppose, yeah, it's basically the same thing.
Essentially.
Yeah, essentially.
Right.
Yeah.
It's addictive.
Absolutely.
I've never tried meth, but I've tried your cakes.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I know it's dangerous. Very dangerous.
So now that you're kind of in like the busy year, where do you see it going? Like, what are the goals now that this has become like your...
I have no idea. Yeah. I would love to know where it was going, but honestly, you know what I really want is I want to make cakes for Kanye. Like when people are like, what do you want to do? I'm like, well, obviously I want to make cakes for Kanye West. And what I mean by that is like, I want to make cakes for like really badass artists who like the artist in them sees the artist in me, and they're like, hey, we're gonna like give you this little sandbox and you can like do whatever you want in it. Like,
game recognized game.
Yeah, just like give me some parameters, like pay me and
Sure.
and let me just like do my thing. Like that's what I want.
I have always said that when we get Kanye West on this podcast, I'm going to quit all my music work and go work at Target the next day.
Yeah.
Because it'll be the like, there were no more lands to conquer.
No.
Yeah. So let's kind of take a step back. Like, when did baking come into play for you? Because I think for a lot of people, they probably knew you first and foremost from Celine Neon, or maybe even from some of your musical projects before Celine Neon. I don't think everybody knew this about you a year and a half ago.
I mean, baking, I've always been like a little like Betty Crocker type.
Right.
Like, I like fuck around in the kitchen and do whatever. My mom is a really great baker and a restaurateur. I've always I like to entertain. I like to have people over. I like to make food for people. Yeah, like that's how I like show people like love and affection.
Which is, in my opinion, the best way.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's not bad. So I started. I got a KitchenAid mixer for Christmas, like 2 years ago, and I just honestly that year was like I think that. Like Celine Neon had just started and I was working really hard. And anyone who works in music or really in the entertainment industry at all knows how satisfying and yet deeply unsatisfying it can be, because like you want
very challenging.
It sucks. It's great, but it also sucks. And like while you're waiting to become wildly successful, there's like a lot of downtime and like a lot of like sort of like there's a lot of like emotional stuff to kind of work through in that time while you're waiting to like really like get there. So I kind of started baking.
Sure.
And it was like a nice sort of like therapeutic thing for me to like, unlike my music career, which I was like so hard at every day and like putting so much effort into for like gradual results. When you get flour and sugar together and throw in some butter, at the end of that, you've got a cake. And like you've got a physical thing in front of you where you can be like, I made that. Like that's what I did.
That's a good
today.
Feeling.
It feels so good.
That's honestly one of the things I love about podcasting is like, I do this, I sit down with somebody, chop it up, and then post it, and it's like, oh, that's done.
Yeah.
Like, amazing to make a film. That seems like a lot of work. I know other artistic concentrations are a lot of work. Fashion, I can't even imagine.
No.
This, I can do it and do it and do it. So yeah, I get that.
It feels good to like have a product at the end of your hard work. And yeah, I don't know. I just kind of started like making these weird little cakes, and enough people were like, yo, that's cool. I was like, no, it's it's whatever. But obviously I thought it was cool. Like I wouldn't have been doing it. Yeah, but
right.
like I wasn't like, I never thought like, oh, this could be a business for me. But enough people kind of pushed me toward it, and I marinated on it for a long time before I was like, okay, yeah, this is something I want to devote my time to, because I wanted to be sure about it before.
And it's a huge step if you're like unplugging from your other jobs and stuff and being like, this is going to be my income now.
Yeah.
So now that you're in it, like, what advice would you give for anybody who, it doesn't even have to be cake, but like they're maybe considering taking the plunge into like devoting themselves full time into whatever their kind of creative craft is?
My advice would be, okay, this is really boring advice and it's like not sexy advice, but my advice is to have a really good accountant. Find someone who knows how to deal with like freelance artists and like knows how to like get you the most money back. That has been so huge for me.
Yeah.
Like I've got a great tax guy. If anyone needs a number, I got you. He's great.
I think you mentioned this when you spoke in one of my classes.
I did.
Too,
and everyone was like
yeah, because
boring,
no one wants to hear that.
No, but
everyone wants to hear like, oh, like this is how you hook up with like Kanye's camp. But no one wants to hear like, make yourself an LLC.
Right.
Because it's not.
It sucks.
Right.
But it's really necessary. Also, it's going to be a ton of work. I was really ready for that Like I'm 30, turned 30. It's great. I like, like my 20s are behind me. It was a really great time. I had the most fun.
God, getting out of your 20s actually is the greatest. Spoiler for everybody young here.
Spoiler
you
alert.
get to like 30 and you're like, oh, thank God.
It's fine. It's like totally fine. It is not traumatic. I promise you're going to be fine. But I am like, when I say that I'm tired all the time and that I have no social life, like, I mean that. Like,
yeah.
I went from my this sounds so pathetic, so don't judge me, but I went from my like weekly social engagement yesterday and I like hung out with my friends. It was really great. And then I like went back to the kitchen and worked for hours and hours. And I woke up at 6:30 this morning and continued to like work my ass off. And like what I do is work right now. And that is honestly perfect.
Right.
It's what I want right now because like, like one of the bouncer at the bar that I used to work at was like talking to me when I was closing one night. He was like, so what do you do when you get out of here? I was like, nothing, man. I go home. He was like, no, come on. Like, come on, girl. Like, what do you do? I was like, okay, I'll tell you. What I really do is I go home and then I make myself a green tea and then I check my email and then I go to bed. And that's what I do. Like, and it's what I like. I don't like necessarily have to go out and like.
Well, I think that honestly, at some point, just getting to do the work is the reward. Like that's what you're working towards, is just being able to like, just to get to do this version of the podcast here. Like tonight's our first night at Virgin Hotel.
Yeah.
This is the reward.
Yeah.
Like just even getting to do this and talk to people like you and everyone who we're talking.
The reward is that I get to make cakes for a living. Like,
right.
That is my job. Like I get people who are like, I want you to make a cake for my 7-year-old's birthday. And I get to like work on making this cute ass cake for a 7-year-old.
Now, are you getting sorry.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Are you getting a lot of like requests, like, like for kids, for weddings? Like, who are these requests that are coming in for
weddings? A lot of weddings, a lot of. So my Instagram is great because
your Instagram is popping.
My Instagram is popping. Instagram is great because it gives you like a demographic sort of breakdown.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something like 92% of my followers are female. And it's a lot of like the bulk of my business comes from Instagram. It's a lot of women buying cakes for their female friends. It's it's like a lot of like women like taking care of each other. A lot of women like buying cakes for their significant others.
Mm-hmm.
I will occasionally get like a husband who's like on top of his shit and will like order a cake for his wife. And I love those men. Like shout out to those men, all 2 of you. But yeah, it's like a lot of women buying cakes for their friends.
Now today, because my birthday is kind of like a few days away, you made a killer cake tonight that you brought over for me, which is incredible, and thank you so much. Is that the most goth cake you've ever made? Or it's got to be up there.
I would say so. Yeah,
because it's very chromatic. It's very like silver and black.
Very monochromatic. It's got skulls on it.
It has skulls.
It has jawbreakers on it,
That's
which
amazing.
I think is pretty goth.
It's totally goth,
right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I love it. What is the Instagram so that people can go look at all the cakes and then inevitably order one right after that?
Yes, the Instagram is Bon Vivant Cakes. So also, when I started this, I like agonized over what I should call the business, and I was like, "Oh, Bon Vivant." Everyone knows what Bon Vivant means, but
I do not know.
No one knows, which is fine. A Bon Vivant, it's a French word that I'm absolutely butchering. I did not take French in school. I took German. I should learn the correct French pronunciation. But a bon vivant is a person who lives luxuriously and like enjoys the finer things in life, right? And I love that concept.
Yes.
Like so much, right? Like
Clearly.
it's such a sexy concept.
Right.
Which is why I chose that name for this cake company.
And I think that's why I love your cakes. On your order form on your website, you have a section. I was telling people before this, you have a section where it says, like, tell me about who this cake is for, which I would imagine is largely for people you don't know. And so I filled it in there for myself. aging goth addicted to luxury hotels.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's probably one of my favorite cake briefs that I've gotten.
Yeah, that's gonna be my LinkedIn
good.
bio. So
yeah,
now.
it's very good.
What's coming up on deck for you? Are there like, I think we were kind of talking before the mics were on. Are there classes you might be offering, or like, are there ways that people can connect with your creative crafts? And do you have help, or are you looking for help?
I do not have help.
That's incredible.
I am not looking for help.
Okay.
And eventually I will be. I will be looking for like an admin.
Mhm.
But one of the things that I enjoy about Bon Vivant is that I do it all myself. It's all me. I get to control everything. I'm like a little bit of a creative control freak.
Yes.
Like I don't want someone to like water down my vision, which is
No, but your cake is
legit,
art.
though.
Your
That's
cake is
legit.
art.
That's a legit concern. What's next for me is probably workshops. I'm partnering with this really great donut pop-up called
that's right. You're doing donuts now.
I'm doing donuts now. They're amazing. I was not a donut person before this, but now I'm extremely a donut person. We're doing a pop-up at Tom's Shoes in Wicker Park during the holidays. We're also talking with Few Spirits and doing a pop-up with them.
Oh my God, you should do Bon Vivant like liquor, like
boozy,
Bon Vivant vodka.
Yeah, like boozy donuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't drink, but I just feel like the market for that would be huge.
Yes.
Right on. And then Celine Neon.
Yeah.
What's the latest with Celine Neon? I know you guys just went to Los Angeles.
We were just in LA. We played our first show in LA. It was awesome.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It was so great.
Where was it at?
It was at the Satellite.
Okay.
And it was great. We opened for Tyler Glenn of Neon Trees.
Oh yeah,
and it was sick. People were so into it.
I'm sure. Your shows are so theatrical and visual and high intensity that I'm sure that plays huge in LA.
It was great.
Yeah.
Celine Neon, we're working on videos right now. We're making a video for the song Drugs.
Yes.
We have just recorded a couple new songs. And we've just got videos and songs and shows coming up. We're playing a show this Friday at the Bottom Lounge.
Right.
Yeah.
Right on, man. Emily Nejad, you know that I am absolutely in love with your work, the cakes, the music, and I cannot thank you enough for always taking time for the podcast.
Of course.
And for making me a birthday cake 2 years in a row. That's like amazing. We are gonna feast on that tonight.
Yes, it's my pleasure.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, and I could not be more happy to see all the incredible success happening for you. It's so deserved. Congratulations, and that's awesome.
Thank you.
Sweet. Thanks. Thank you. Right on. Let's give it up for Emily.
Thanks, guys.
Because she's a badass. Awesome. You're welcome to hang if you want, or if you got a cut. All good. Who wants to come up next? D Barry. D Bone. What if I started calling you that? Like we're we're sophomores in high school. Right on. How are we looking on the GarageBand and the stream? Good. Cool. Right on.
Hey.
Awesome, man. Derek Barry, live here for Dynasty Podcast at Virgin Hotel. How are you doing, man?
Good. How are you?
I am really well, man. You and I, we were communicating for a few weeks now because you were originally going to be on a panel about creative direction and branding and marketing and all those kind of topics. And then you had to duck away for an undisclosed project that can't be announced yet. Right. But it's going to be really cool. But you weren't able to sit on this panel that we had you scheduled for initially. So I'm really glad we got to bring you in tonight, man. Thank you for rescheduling and taking the time.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Sorry about last time.
Dude, no, you had such a good excuse. And when people find out when people find out what that was, they're going to be like, oh, damn, that's really cool.
Yeah. Just some ideas coming to life.
Sure.
Yeah.
So let's kind of like take a step back. Of course, you are the co-founder of Saved by the Max, the Saved by the Bell pop-up bar in Wicker Park. Did I get that right?
Correct.
It's co-founder?
Yes.
Okay.
Creative director, co-founder.
Co-founder. So we're going to talk about that because, of course, that's a huge deal. It's on everybody's lips this year. But let's take a step back before that. And let's go kind of old school, man. Like, you came to Chicago from
Miami.
From Miami. That's right. You activated Rehab. The old heads will remember Rehab. There was a huge party in Wicker Park for a long time. Bring us into kind of like moving from maybe those final days of rehab to like, how do you get here to where you're now activating Saved by the Max? Like, how did that
Yeah.
jump happen?
So moved to Chicago about 10 years ago, on Halloween, and just started
So
throwing
awesome.
parties. Yeah. Started throwing parties and in the Wicker Park area. Did that for like 5-6 years. Transitioned into DJing full time. And once I started a family, I was like, okay, time to get out of this. Something a little
Right.
bit more serious.
I think
Moved,
there's something to be said for exiting gracefully.
yeah,
Too.
yeah, really,
Sure.
really graceful. Kept in touch with everybody, kind of kept like a clientele and fan base. Moved over to Beauty Bar, which I'm still a partner in right now. Did some really cool things over there. Continue to, and in February, one night I was laying in bed and I was like, man, I love Saved by the Bell. Like, I would love to take this love to some weird level. And my wife was just like, recreate it. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna recreate the Max. And she was like, cool. So like 3 in the
Like,
morning.
that's just a normal thing that people say. Sure.
And like 3 in the morning, I went and put a Facebook page up because I couldn't sleep. And like 10 in the morning, my wife calls me at the gym and she's like, have you seen Chicagoist this morning? And I was like, no. She's like, they're talking about a Saved by the Bell pop-up. And I was like, cool, someone stole my idea already. Super mad. Went on Chicagoist and looked, and someone on my friends list had sent the event page, which I put up anonymously, hit attending. And when a couple people saw it, unclicked it so no one knew it was me. Kind of spread like wildfire, was sent over to Chicagoist. And like an hour or two after that, someone called me and was like, hey, the Today Show is talking about this pop-up. I told like 5 or 6 people, and I was like, come on. Clicked it on and caught the tail end of it, and it was just like wildfire for the next 3 or 4 months.
I feel like that's how the most kind of, I hate to use this term viral, but like, for lack of a better term, I feel like that's how the best viral ideas happen, is that they're not something that you're planning with like, a consulting group for 7 months. It's like, you can't sleep, you throw an idea out there and you're like, yeah, okay, no one's ever going to do that.
Yeah.
And
I mean, like,
just
I just was like, Hail Mary, if people like it, cool. Let's see if we can get like a couple hundred RCPs. And like, I think it was like 15,000 seriously on the first day. And I was like, all right, I'm scared. Like, what are we going to do right now? And yeah, I called my now partners, Steve Harris and Zach Eastman, who I worked at for years on random projects. And I was like, okay, I got myself into this situation. I put this page up and we have to do a pop-up. And they were like, okay. And heads together. And well, working backwards, I put a date up saying June 1st it would open. Where normally you'd say like, we're opening up a restaurant.
Right.
I was like, hey, in 3 months this opens up. So we had 3 months to find space and put it up. And the first couple days was pretty scary because NBC had reached out to us and was like, we own Saved by the Bell. What are you doing? And I was like, here comes a cease and desist.
Right.
And it was more like, what are you doing? How can we get involved? So we're like, And we put together like a really cool business plan for them, which they loved from the second they laid eyes on it. And it just never stopped. So we got together, found the space, which Steve, my partner, owned. And, on May like 8th, we took over and flipped over an empty space into what it is now, open June 1st.
So what you're describing is literally, minus the Facebook part, what JFK did when he said we're going to the moon.
Yeah.
He had no...
We're going to the Max.
Right, we're going to the Max. Like, JFK had no idea whether we could go to the moon. He just said we're going to the moon, and I think, what was it, like 10? I don't know. No one in here knows. But like, JFK was like, we're going to the moon. We'll figure it out after I make this announcement. And for you, yeah, it was we're going to the Max.
Yeah, I like the challenge of it off the bat, and the second I saw like the appeal nationwide and certain press started coming along, and there were stories from Ad Age and like Wall Street Journal wanted to talk about it.
Forbes, like really reputable. This wasn't just like, no offense to Chicago Press. Chicago Press is amazing.
Yeah.
But it wasn't just like the homies in Chicago covering it. This was like the real kind of like national outlets.
Yeah. The weirdest part, as big as Forbes is, like, there was no conventional way they reached out. They tweeted me and were like, can we talk to you? And I was like, hang on here. Is that Forbes tweeting me? And
but
I
that's how things move fast. Like,
and it did. Yeah.
That's how you got to keep up with things now.
And they've been super supportive. I mean, like, they were one of the people that told the story on like, the funnest part for us was we never spent a penny on advertising. We let the brand talk for it. We let the people who love the idea be our sub promoters and just kind of help out.
But it's that idea of the what, like Andy Cernowitz quote, advertising is the cost of being boring. You want to have an idea that can spread like this. So I'm really interested in this idea from like kind of a branding, marketing, kind of that lens we were going to look at it through at the panel. Like, this is something you can't recreate. Not you specifically, but you can't have something work this well generally with that much planning. It has to be an organic kind of thing. Like, what kind of steps are you taking to not just like have it be this moment now, but move it forward so you can capitalize on this momentum?
Yeah, I think it's just having like a really good business plan and idea of what we want to do. I think we've kind of mapped out, at least from day one, where we wanted to be on June 1st, where we wanted to be July 1st, and making sure we always hit those points. So moving forward, I think it's just like having really, like you mentioned, strong relationships, from brands to a great CPA to lawyer and all the things that are going to come along.
That's what Emily was just saying.
Right,
It's just
like
like
Emily
all
said.
the unsexy, boring stuff
are the most
that's
important.
what keeps it moving.
Yeah, and I think just having like a really solid project, we put like everything we had into Saved by the Max, from like working 3 or 4 days without like leaving in the opening month to I mean, just treating every aspect down to like, we spent like 10 days concepting what the bathroom would look like, and like I'm not a restaurant guy. I still eat like McDonald's 3 times a week, but there's a Michelin star chef over at Saved by the Max, so
That's
it's
insane.
it's been awesome. I love creative, has been, and it continues to be, to keep people coming back and to stay sold out for 7 months and still have people not returning their tickets yet after the buzz and the initial launch.
Yeah, it sold out through the end of the year pretty quickly, right? Was
Yeah.
that the case?
The first 3 months sold out. Well, we originally only planned it for 3 months with no like backpedaling. We were just like 3 months only.
Right.
And we announced the first month and it sold out in like 5 minutes. And then we announced the next 2 months an hour later. And then those sold out in 5 minutes. And we were like, okay, talk about the extension. So we extended to the year, the end of the year, and we're like 90% sold out, I think.
So why do you think that this idea in particular, because people throw ideas out every day and you've seen them, some work and some do not.
Yeah.
What do you think it was about this that really just caught fire almost, I don't want to discount your efforts, but almost effortlessly, right? Like it just happened very quickly, very organically. Why Saved by the Max?
I've been throwing like a 90s night with Zach Eastman
Right.
for like since Beauty Bar opened, like
Right.
7-8 years now. And it's the biggest party that venue has and has had for a really long time. And I think it's just because people go there. You don't have to know anything new. You don't need to be like the hippest person. So you take Saved by the Max. You don't need to be a huge foodie. You don't need to be in touch with like the eaters top, 10 places
Zag
to eat.
it, right?
Zag it. I think
Yeah,
you just go in there and you're like, you're already welcome. You already know what you're getting yourself into. So a 90s night, you go in, you're like, I'm gonna know every song in there. You walk into Saved by the Max, you're like, I know exactly I remember that. So I mean, people walk in, they lose their mind, and everyone's dressed up, and so it's great,
Would you ever consider, like, do you think there are any other kind of nostalgic properties that you might work a project around, or do you think for you it's always gonna be Saved by the Max because you have Team Bayside High, you have Saved by the Max? Like, you think Saved by the Bell is just that's the one?
Can't talk about it.
All right, okay. I'm kind of expecting like a Perfect Strangers pop up because that was based in Chicago.
I like
Families
the Golden
Matters.
Girl idea, one that just came up, and the thing is, a lot of them are happening, and not to discredit any of them. Like,
Right.
I visited the Star Wars one when it was in Chicago, and I researched them just to stay like benchmarking on what's happening with other brands and stuff.
Right.
And I think a lot of them pop up with like a branded food and beverage menu and maybe like a prop from the show. I mean, but we literally recreated it and spent the money to make it happen so we could have
It looks
the
like the
impact
show.
that we had. Yeah.
You're in the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just think people, they dig that they're on the show. Like we had the writer and creator of the Max, Bennett Tramer, come in for a session, and he walked in and was like, how did you do this? Like, this is it. And that was super humbling.
Dude, that's amazing. It's incredible. So now I know that you and I talked a little bit before the mics were on about there's things on the horizon that you can't publicly announce yet, but what can you say about what's coming up for the venue and for you? Or venue restaurant rather.
Yeah. So we're doing a second pop-up for one night in Wicker Park. We're taking over Debonair, and we're recreating the attic, which was where Saved by the Bell cast snuck into on 18 plus fake IDs. Yeah.
That's amazing.
We don't stop. Like, it's weird. We're doing that on Halloween night or Halloween weekend, and we have a lot of cool events coming up, bringing in more cast characters.
Yeah, you've had some of the cast stop by, right?
Yeah, we've had a couple. We have a couple more coming back. I don't want to say who, just because the way we build them in with like random, ideas and stuff like that, it's fun. But we're figuring out what's coming up. We still have another like 2.5, 3 months on the duration right now, and I think it's just focusing on like keeping it cool, making sure we have cool stuff for all the holidays coming up, a Christmas programming, Halloween, Thanksgiving, all that stuff.
So, looking at this whole process now, kind of what advice would you give for anyone looking to even capture any of this branding magic, any of the marketing energy and conversation that happened, which I know can't be reproduced, but like, I don't know, what would you tell somebody looking to bring that kind of excitement around what they're doing?
Just basically like follow what you know. Like, don't be a trendsetter or trend jumper. Be a trendsetter.
Right.
Don't be a culture vulture. Whatever saying it is, it's so true. Like when not to say like I'm super successful by any means, but the feeling of success I think came right when I just started doing things I was comfortable with doing.
Right.
I felt like I didn't have to please anyone, have a massive crowd. I just throw like a really fun 90s night. For a long time I was trying to throw the coolest party with the newest DJs, and there'd be like, I didn't even know the DJ. I just booked him because he was big online,
And that's exhausting though.
It's super exhausting, and there's no like longevity with it. I mean, with Saved by the Max, like I love nostalgia, I love 90s stuff, so it's spawning different things even for the other place, beauty bar that I work at. We're coming up with brand new things that we think work, gauging off what's happening over there and back and forth. So I think it just do the things do the things you think you can be lucrative to society
and that you love.
And that
I mean, clearly it's something you're like very excited.
Yeah, I could use like a Saved by the Bell break right now, but for the most part, I love it.
Listen, if you ever, I don't know what projects you have coming up, but you ever recreate the hatches from Lost?
I'm hitting you up.
All right,
I'm hitting you up. You're hosting open night.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, Derek Barry doing all sorts of really great things with Saved by the Max. And again, I've gotten a little preview of what's coming up, man, from what you've told me. I think it's going to be very, very exciting. So I'm looking forward to seeing all these things that are going to be coming for, happening in the future. And I'm so glad we got you rescheduled tonight, man. Thank you
for having me back, and congratulations. Beautiful room in here.
Yeah, this is incredible.
We've known each other for a long time. I think we did one of these in like a sound studio in Wicker Park somewhere years back.
Yeah, we've done this. I mean, it's crazy. This podcast is 11 years old now.
Yeah, I was going to say a decade ago.
Yeah.
Around the time where Rehab got going.
850 episodes or something crazy. So it's like, but it is that kind of thing where we have to it's always reinventing. It's always like doing new things that we're passionate about, because if I was still doing this the same way I was doing it in 2008, it would just not work at all. So
agreed. And thank you for everything you do for Chicago and all of us. So appreciate the offer to come back.
Dude, thank you. And we'll keep it the conversation going, man.
Thank you, Jaime.
All right, Derek Barry. Let's give it up for him. All right, so looks like Patrick Welby is coming up at P Welbs on all social. We still looking good? Cool. Are we in frame? Cool. I feel like I'm on the fringe. Let's scoot over a touch that way. Is that okay? Too much. All right. Right on, man. Dude, how you doing? Patrick Welby. Patrick Welby from These Days, Project, Oxcord DJs, Daft Punk.
A lot of stuff
Arcade
going
Fire.
On. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, man. How are you doing?
I'm good. Life is good. No complaints.
Yeah.
Everything I'm working on is going well. So
you're another one, man, who has a lot of stuff going on, dude.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
That's why there's these bags under my eyes. But...
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna get mine tattooed because they're not going anywhere.
Exactly.
So I might as well.
Exactly.
Might as well own it.
Yeah.
Dude, thank you for coming up tonight here. We're at Virgin Hotels. It's our first time doing this here. Like, I wanted it to be cool, and I wanted to bring really great people. And you're someone who I've talked to on the podcast in an individual interview and in a panel this year. Mm-hmm. But a couple weeks back, I was interviewing Wesley Parker, who,
my man,
absolutely. Yeah. He's a contributor of yours on These Days and close collaborator.
Mm-hmm.
And your name, he and I just did this who's who conversation. We just talked about so much in the city, but your name kept coming up, and all the comments, people were just like, Patrick Welby, like local rock star, man. And I was like, if we're gonna do this with somebody that people really love, it has to be you. So thank you, man.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the kind
Yeah.
words. Wesley's a good man, and I always say he's unofficial mayor of Chicago. So
yeah, he's a really great guy, and I'm glad we got him on the podcast. So let's talk about some of the things you have happening right now. You know, you and I have talked a bit on these panels and stuff, but right now you are involved in These Days, which of course is a hyper local Chicago music and culture site. Project, which is an experiential and experimental marketing agency, and Oxcord DJs, which is a kind of like free-form DJ night from the smartphone and a laptop around the city.
Literally,
right? Did I get all those?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
Those are the big three.
Those are the big three. How are you finding the time to manage and operate within all three of those different pursuits?
Yeah, you know, I think the goal is that all three of those kind of contribute towards a greater goal. So when I've like found there's been a void in a specific spot of what I'm trying to do and what I'm trying to accomplish, I've tried to become a part of something or created something that's kind of contributed to that. So, you know, These Days, Oxcore DJ Project, the hope is that all those things combined kind of lead me to accomplish some of my greater goals. So, so far so good. You know, throwing a party with Oxcore DJ is fun. Doing a media, creating content and press with These Days kind of takes care of that vertical, and then all that sort of helps whatever I do at Project day to day. So
you know how I know you work at a marketing agency? Because you just said
vertical. Yeah,
you said vertical.
Yeah, the These Days guys dog me all the time. I think I've been on a few too many conference calls with. My favorite is Social Currency. It's pretty cheesy, but yeah,
dude, that's amazing. So you're doing all this and you're doing it in Chicago. What's keeping you here to build in Chicago versus, you know, a lot of the work you're doing you could be doing in LA or New York or maybe even like in Austin or something like that?
I think first of all, you know, and I think the folks on the live stream tonight, you know, Derek, Emily, and Melanie, I think just my peers in Chicago. I love working alongside them. I'm humbled to work alongside them. They're all doing amazing things, such diverse amount of stuff. So that's easy to be around those folks, and it's contagious energy. And then second, I think I just believe in Chicago as a city that can be, you know, world class in culture, creativity, and music. And I just hope to be a part of that, and contribute as much as I can. And
what you're doing,
I
like,
so.
I don't think it's fair for you to say I hope I'm doing. You're doing it
for sure.
So much of your work, especially the Oxcord stuff, especially the These Days stuff, it revolves around putting other people on.
Yeah.
Why is that a focus of yours, and how do you find creatives and artists that you want to showcase?
Yeah, I think I've had some good mentorship, and you know, Sarah Newcomb, they're out here, and my boss Joe Lucchese's watching on the live stream. I think they've always championed highlighting and celebrating other people in your community. And you know, I think the successful thing about Oxcore DJ is you know, finding all these entrepreneurs, whether they're chefs or event producers or podcasters, and just kind of putting shine on them, celebrating what they're doing, and then making it fun by throwing a party where they get to pick the music. And I
feel like tonight's lineup could have been an Oxcord.
Exactly. And you know, Melanie's done one before.
Sure.
So it's just fun. It's just fun to get, you know, everyone that you see out there hustling just like you are, and just kind of have fun for a night.
Just like a lot of people are.
Play music. Exactly.
I don't know. I mean, if you ever book me for one, I don't know. I just want to brace you. It's gonna be a lot of Fall Out Boy and a lot of Deftones. I just want to own that up front.
I'm with that.
Yeah,
we need that. We've had a lot of hip hop.
Why is there a 40-minute set of 2 artists?
Yeah, no, I'm with it. Yeah, we need that actually. We need some diversity.
I keep saying like there's these emo nights in Chicago, and I'm like, if anyone wants a like hour-long Fall Out Boy set, like
I'm with it.
Right here.
Yeah, it's cool to see what people pick. Because you never expect, you know, at one moment it's the Beach Boys, and the next moment it's someone like Joey Perp or Chance playing. So it's cool to see.
And Chicago has such a rich, incredible history of like really great DJ nights. I mean, we were just talking with Derek about the Rehab days, but then like what you're talking about almost reminds me of like the Flosstradamus Town Hall days. Were you here for that?
No.
Oh man, that was like this short-lived moment.
Legends.
They're legends, and there was a minute where Floss was small enough they just played a little like, Lakeview
Yep.
pub once a month or whatever it was, and that party was crazy. But I mean, yeah, like, so there's such a rich history of doing great DJ nights in the city, and you're doing them a lot at like East Room. You just did one at Soho. Are those the main venues?
The good folks at East Room have been very hospitable. I think we just did our 10th one there this past month. Just a great space. Everyone likes being there, so that's always a good part of it. And then we just did one at Soho House last night. We got Mr. Zach Eastman of East Room to spin, and then we had this gal Hillary Sawchuk, who does a series here at the Virgin Hotel.
A drink with right at this space. Yeah.
Yep. And then we had Jamila Woods, which is she had an amazing playlist, and then
had an amazing year.
Exactly. And then Britt Julius, who's a local journalist,
and who's a local rock star.
Yeah, she was badass last night.
I have no doubt.
She got the dance floor like officially started.
That's very easy to believe.
Yeah.
Now, with these days, you guys recently celebrated a 1-year anniversary.
Yeah.
What have you learned in this year? Because I know that you were somebody who previously you worked with like Andrew Barber from Fake Short Drive. So I know that you had that kind of experience. Like, what have you learned in leading, along with these other great collaborators, a year of creating content that way and showcasing creatives?
I think the biggest thing I learned is a year later, what we've built and what we're doing is pretty different than what we went into it. And just not getting too attached to what that first idea or concept was, and just kind of going with the flow, evolving with whatever comes our way. It's a team effort when you have that many collaborators. When people bring in new ideas or ideas fail, some ideas are huge wins. It's just kind of like addressing those things as they happen, and just
being
kind of
able
going
to pivot
exactly
to use another marketing
gotta pivot exactly. But it's been wild that it's only been a year. It seemed like it's been much longer than that, and the success and recognition we've had from our peers on how well they think it's doing is great, and I think we're just trying to keep moving forward, keep that same spirit of that first kind of concept that we had. I think that's stayed through, but just working with what we got and then keep evolving.
Yeah, adapt and evolve. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Something I think you guys have done very well is that you're constantly producing original content, which I think is really key.
Yeah.
Because if Chance drops a video, there's no shortage of blogs that are going to post that video. And some of those people are the leaders. Fake Short, Complex, the people who have earned their spot.
Yep.
Hard won. And then there's a million new blogs that are just basically trying to be the next Ill Roots or Fake Short.
Sure.
And we're like, we don't need another Ill Roots or Fake Short.
Right.
We have Ill Roots and Fake Short.
Right.
But you guys are producing a lot of original content while still also showcasing the, if Chance drops a new video, if there's a new, Superboy track.
Exactly.
What have you learned about producing original content, and how has that worked for you guys?
Yeah, I think that's kind of been on purpose or accidental. That's been one of our strong points is how we've covered the scene here. Is sure, Chance may drop something, or folks like Show You Suck. We're local guys where we know they're gonna get covered. How can we cover it differently? So when we were highlighting someone like Clinton or Show You Suck, we ask him his favorite restaurants, his favorite coffee shops, what shows he might be going to this weekend. We've kind of grouped that into a series called Drop Pin. So it's just kind of, if he's going to drop a new song, what else can we put with it? And I think another thing that's been successful is the cover story. We do one once a month, where we make sure that all the photos, all the video are things that we're creating. We're working with local photographers.
And it's kind of like a long form piece. It's not just like a one paragraph, like Chance has a new record. He's out on the road right now, and watch the new video below.
Exactly.
It's a long form, long read.
Yeah, I usually say it's like 10 to 15 minute read versus something that might be a quick,
slightly longer than a tweet.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then we always joke that we should just like have a Chance section, because it seems like he's doing something every day.
He's the mayor of Chicago.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
He's the mayor we want.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You've hit the 1-year anniversary with These Days recently. You're doing Project, which I know activates, just like a lot of creative operations, very much in the spring. The spring is kind of when a lot of things happen for a lot of people. I saw you guys at South by.
Yep.
And then you have Aux Chords, which is going strong. So, like, what's on deck for you now that you kind of have all these great verticals that are in, that are being energized?
I think, the main thing is continuing to make sure that all those things kind of continue to mesh together and help me move forward. Fortunately, all those teams that I'm working with, everyone's kind of interested in collaborating. So I'm hoping that very soon there'll be some project these days, Oxcord kind of collaborations, whether it's an Oxcord DJ event that has the project networking element to it. We do an ongoing event series where networking is the key component of that. And then, just is that something that we can highlight on these days? Can we do an original content piece around, each DJ that may be doing a feature Oxcord? So I'm hoping in the next few months, it's just a further collaboration of those three projects.
Well, and that was going to be my final question is like, if somebody is an artist, they're a creative, they're a maker, they're industry, they're a student, if somebody wants to get connected with anything you're doing, Oxcord these days, projects, like what's the best way for someone to approach you and pitch, getting in front of you and doing something with what you have going on, man?
I would say come up and talk to me in person. I think there's nothing beats the handshake and the eye-to-eye conversation. And I always appreciate that. When I've reached out to folks I admire or someone I'm seeking mentorship from, just like a tweet or an email or a text doesn't seem to be what it takes to kind of close the deal.
It's a stepping stone.
Yeah, it's so, if you admire someone that's throwing a party, once a month somewhere, and you want to, work for them or get, more information from them, go out and support. That's all.
I mean, that face-to-face, we're all in this room together and we're doing live panels and workshops every week now with the podcast, because you can do all the best digital in the world, but like there's nothing like face-to-face still though, meeting out in real life and like collaborating and connecting like this, man. It's so crucial.
Yeah. I can't say it enough, just going out there, showing face, contributing, showing up. People like having someone that's enthusiastic and wants to be at your event, your show. So I think that's my best recommendation.
I love it, man. Patrick Welby, you've been awesome. This is the third time we've gotten you on the mic this year.
I appreciate you having me so many times this year,
dude. And I know we're going to be talking in Austin in no time. It's going to feel like 10 minutes from now.
I'm sure we'll be there with Melanie. I'm sure she's going to talk about her new gig. But
I think everybody here, I feel like a lot of people here, we're going to be in Austin together.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, we'll meet at a taco truck and I'll have the handheld and we'll do it, man.
Done. Sold.
All right, brother.
All right.
Thank you so much, man.
Thanks again.
Absolutely. Yeah, Patrick Welby. Melanie McLean. Dude, thank you guys for hanging out tonight. We had no idea if anyone was going to show up for this. Like, we did not know what to expect. I cannot believe you guys are all here, like, hanging out this whole time. That is so dope. Thank you guys for coming out. That's huge. Right on, man. Melanie McLean.
Hey.
How are you doing?
I'm doing really good. Really good.
This is very this was very last minute. We had another speaker who was going to be another guest who's going to be interviewed tonight, Shantae Linwood. There's a last minute scheduling kind of thing, and we're going to have her on in the future because we've really wanted to talk to Shantae. But you showed up, and you and I have been talking. You and I have been talking actually for a while on Twitter. But you got this awesome gig we're going to talk about, and that's taking you out of Chicago. So the conversation we had recently was, we've got to do like a proper one-on-one interview, not just a panel with you before you leave. And then you showed up tonight, and I was like, hey, can I put you on the spot? Thank you so much.
Thank you. This is awesome.
Yeah. So we recently had you on a panel, the same one that Derek was going to be on, the creative directors and brand managers. Was that the And that was your concept that you pitched to us and helped us activate. Thank you again for that. By the way. That was
it was like a topic that funny because me and like Julius and other people that we've mentioned tonight that kind of were just talking about, and it's like, oh, I would love to like discuss this publicly besides like my group of friends, and then I pitch it to you and you're like, yeah, let's do it. I'm like, oh, and a few weeks later we had a table of amazing people from like amazing like companies and projects in Chicago, and we were discussing it. So
and that's one of the things I love about right now you can kind of have your own operation. I don't need to expand on like the digital age. You can have your own brand, but it's like, I love that with this podcast, if I'm talking to someone like you and you're like, hey, let's do this cool project, then it's like, all right, great, let's just do it. There's nothing stopping us unless we get in our own way.
Totally.
And it's not like that if you are with maybe like a larger company. So that was really cool. But yeah, I'm very much putting you on the spot tonight because you have this really incredible life event. If this was a Facebook thing, it would be like one of those life events that always gets like
totally
400 likes.
Yeah, I mean, I got the most likes I've ever gotten on Facebook by saying
that's how you know it's real.
Yeah, so you know it's real.
So what
Aubrey
happened?
Once said, yeah.
You have this like incredible life event that just happened very recently that I wanted to talk to you about on the podcast, and I'm glad we're getting to do it tonight.
Yeah, great.
So bring us into it.
Yeah, so basically I'm from Chicago, and in the last couple years I really realized that after like doing like artist PR and management and things like that, that like, wait, this is just branding. Like if I'm working with like the GTW or G-Eazy, those are brands that I'm developing, and like, you know, I'm making mood boards and I'm doing social media strategy and I'm doing like event production. I'm like, oh wait, I can do this for like, you know, household name brands too. Like I'm helping these small names become like, you know, fader famous brands. Like I can make something work with a household brand. So 2 years ago, I decided to move. At that point, I was living in Nashville doing like internships and working in the music industry. And I was like, let me come back to Chicago. There's a lot of great agencies out here. And after just kind of just going out to events and things that I care about, I went to this cool Afro punk event, and this agency called Walton Isaacson was producing it, and I found it because of Twitter. I did a little searching, searched the hashtag, and it was kind of like, okay, who uses the hashtag? Like people who are really dedicated to like data, and like the people who actually work at that agency. So that got my first ad job. I was doing experiential marketing, which is basically doing events and sponsorships for brands. So I did it for McDonald's, the 365 Black campaign, and produced their online content for their website. And I was like, oh wait, yeah, this is pretty cool. Like I get to, you know, work on Essence Festival, and I get to work on Flavor Battle, like a DJ competition with like DJ Lonnie Love Chicago participated.
Right.
And it kind of, I was like, okay, I can do this. And then from there, I did other freelance projects with like Wrigley doing their social media strategy. And I'm like, okay, like we got to work with cool like influencer conferences. I'm like, okay, like there's something here between digital and live events that I really want to pursue. And through a long interview process, like this month, I got an offer basically to be Budweiser's experiential music manager, which is basically working for their Made in America festival that you might hear with Jay-Z like this year.
Just
like, yeah,
little artists you might have heard
you know,
of.
Jay-Z, you know, Beyonce played it.
Sure.
You know, Rihanna did it recently, Nicki Minaj, you know, so like.
Maybe you've heard of them.
Yeah. So like one of the most awesome festivals, you know, in America. And the fact that like a brand is like dedicating like their budget to make that happen, it's pretty cool when you really think about that.
That's amazing.
And doing things like doing like country music sponsorships, and like I always, like all my good friends know, I secretly love country music, so it was pretty cool.
Is that the Nashville in you?
It was really funny because when I lived in Nashville, I was like, I worked at Americana companies and I liked it, but then when I moved back, I kind of realized like, wait, I really love country, and I didn't realize it. And it was like the country, like it's like Sam Hunt, like oh yeah, he's like the Drake of country, and like the stuff like that. I'm like, no, like it's not just like Loretta Lynn's and like the old like Johnny Cash. Like no, like I like Florida Georgia Line a lot, and now I have an opportunity to literally sponsor Florida Georgia Line concerts and do cool like pop-up events and things like that. So yeah, it's a dream job. Long story short, yeah.
But I was just gonna say, I was literally gonna say dream job because like anyone who knows you, anyone who follows you on Twitter, especially, I mean, Twitter is like where you shine.
Thank you.
Like Twitter is your platform, and anybody who knows you and follows you or connects with you in real life is not even remotely surprised to hear about this Budweiser thing.
Oh, thanks.
Like it makes so much sense. So what was that process like when you connected with them, and how did they kind of like reach out to you, or like how did you find out from them?
It was someone from the inside reached out, and they were like, hey, we know you from, you know, Twitter. Honestly,
Sure.
Twitter. Yeah, slipped into the DMs. No, no, HR did not slip into my DMs. No. But like it was someone from the inside. They're like, hey, like we like what you're doing. Like you still have to apply, but maybe this will work out. and just the process is like kind of me doing that. But I mean, before I was doing that, several month long interview process, I was like looking at festivals and like saying like, okay, like I love Trill Electro Festival. I love, Mad Decent Block Party, different things that are happening around the country and sometimes outside the world, and saying, okay, like what brands are putting their money behind it? And if so, what are they doing with it? And yeah, and like going to like a Pitchfork Festival or something like that, I'm like, okay, what brands made a lasting like impression? And then I'll use social media to like document it, kind of it's like a timeline. And then in my weird personal like manic behavior, I'll like make decks of like talking about like a PowerPoint presentation. It's like me saying like these are my favorite festival sponsorships for fun. I don't know. I do weird stuff like that.
But like again, like you are completely so perfectly suited for this.
Yeah.
And most people, they go to a festival, they're anywhere from like trying to sneak in drugs or get drunk, or they just want to see the headliner. And you're the person who's like, well, who's the primary sponsor on this? And like, who's the parent company? Like, it's every Batman comic where he's trying to solve the problem, which is just follow the money.
Yeah.
Like,
and I was always the plus one. Shout out to all my friends, because I went to a lot of festivals this summer, and I was always the plus one. Like
now
for like
you're
the
gonna
media
be the plug
pass. Yeah.
who they're hitting up.
Yeah.
Like,
now I can finally pay
hey.
things back, but I was always like, oh, I really want to go to this festival. Like, let's will into existence. And then you get that text like, hey, do you want to go to Mamby on the Beach? Like, yes, I do. Like, I would love to see Mayor Hawthorne, like, for free. Thank you. Like,
right. So now that you have this opportunity where you're going to be working with Budweiser, which is incredible and amazing, it's taking you to New York, right?
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
It's pretty it's a weird bittersweet moment, just because I mean, like, we just, had our panel a little while ago, and it's like I feel like I'm at the point that I see a lot of kind of doors opening up for me here in Chicago, that as a native and someone who's gone from Nashville gone from Chicago 7 years, I'm really feel like I'm kind of like hitting my stride in my own way. But at the same time, I feel like as a person who was like, freelancing and trying to do that, and, finding agencies that were the best fit for me, it was like a real big struggle for that too. So like, okay, I want to stay, but at the same time, it's like if I can't find a place that's gonna, I can be with for like more than 6 months, that will, give me health care,
Right.
like I wear contacts, like I need refills, and the full picture was like, okay, well, it wasn't that I was looking outside of New York or Chicago. I always had in my back of my head that like, okay, maybe that's what it's gonna come from.
Well, and this is not an opportunity you could say no to.
Yeah.
Not even remotely, and not that you would want to.
Yeah.
But if they say it's New York, you go, great. What can I do in New York?
And it's traveling, so it's like that's the best thing, is like I know people who work for other brands in the portfolio, like Bud Light and stuff like that. I see them all the time here in Chicago, and that's kind of, and it's like, oh, like you travel a lot. So like when I see my friends, then I'm like, no, you're gonna be seeing me. Like I have events that I'm doing with people that's coming up that's in Chicago, and just the nature of my job is like I'm going to music festivals, and we have a lot of great music festivals here in Chicago.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
If I have my way, I will love Budweiser to sponsor as many as possible.
Well, I mean, like I said, it's been incredible to see what you have happening, and I'm so glad we've got to have you on the podcast twice this summer. I mean, I guess it's not summer now, but it feels
it's
still
still
like
warm
summer.
out.
It's
so
still warm out.
Summer to me, yeah.
And you know what? It's going to be warm on this earth for a long time now, so it's kind of summer forever.
Yeah.
For better, for worse. That's a whole different. That's a different panel. Like, help, we're really screwed. But we've gotten to have you on twice this summer, and I really I cannot thank you enough, especially tonight. I really just put you on the spot, and you easily could have been like, no, dude.
Like, no.
No.
I'm trying to enjoy my Sunday.
Right.
Like, no,
trying to keep a
no.
low profile here. No, but you showed up, and you've been incredible at coming to all of our events and really producing these incredibly quality live tweets from the events. And like, I don't know, I cannot thank you enough, because you know that we're a very small operation. Like, basically everyone involved in the podcast you see here. And when someone comes through and does something like that, we never even asked for that.
Yeah,
I just
did it. And like, as I said, like kind of like my passion is, like, it's like I'm a Twitter person. My Twitter handle is Melanie of Internet.
Yes.
But at the same time, like I'm out and about like several days a week. And it's kind of like I'm not that like the joke that was like, Twitter people in real life, like you see them like in the corner on their phone. Like, no, that's not me. Like I will be like, like around my friends, out and about and knowing people. And I think it's important to find ways to combine, digital and live events. And I feel like more ways we can do that, the better. That's why like live streaming is amazing, because
I love it.
it's accessible to everybody. And that's why like, okay, like live tweeting is great for me, because it's like, okay, what are the things that touch me the most? And my friends in Austin can know that. And they're like, oh, wait, let me click that live stream link. And like any opportunity that I can help out my friends, you know, bridge that, I try to do it, just because, I don't know, it's cool. It's fun.
Well, it's amazing. And, you know, what I would love to do as we head into 2017 here pretty soon, I know we're going to cross paths at festivals, at South by Southwest, or whatever it is. I would love to continue this conversation,
Yeah.
keep it going, do more, whether it's panels, one-on-ones, whatever. Like, I would love to keep checking in with what you have happening, because it's been really awesome to have you on the mic this year, and also, you know, to be part of the community of our events, man. Thank you
Thanks.
so
Yeah,
much.
I'm excited. Like, I was talking to my future boss, and he was like, yeah, so, you know, you're this like second week of the job at this event at Madison Square Garden. I'm like, what? Like, want to be at the working at the Garden? Like, okay, like cliche New York awesome things. Like, I can do that.
You're gonna show up
like,
listening to
yeah,
Empire State of
yeah.
Mind and like
cool. Like,
right.
yeah. So I'm definitely excited to reconnect, just because I feel like it's kind of one of those situations that, you know, like as Patrick said, like, you know, when you do these events, is like, and it's crazy. I'll be working with Patrick. That's
Yeah.
one of our partner agencies. So shout out to Project, doing awesome things
Be
for
well.
Budweiser. Yeah, it's like one of those things. It was like, I know that in the next month, you know, I'm gonna have so many amazing experiences. So the next time we're reconnecting in person or online or whatever, it's like we'll have so much to talk about.
Oh my God, this is gonna be amazing
Yeah.
stories, man. Well, Melanie McLean, Melanie of Internet on Twitter. Congratulations again. So
Thank
well
you.
deserved.
Thank you.
The anybody who knows you, the creative branding work and conversation you have been curating this year and beyond has been incredible, man. So it could not be more well deserved. And thank
Thanks.
you again for taking the time. I really appreciate
Yeah, of course,
it.
definitely. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yay.
All right, man. That is it for our first night here at Virgin Hotel. Thank you so much to Virgin Hotel and the entire team, especially Blake Smith, for having us here tonight. Thank you to my team, Dynasty Podcasts, who are here like straight up Avengers style, like in force. Audrey Sutherland, Prove Crivachet, Ingrid Legends, Julia Johannick, Madison Keenan, Brianna Eden Katz. Who am I missing? Who else is here? Is there a hand back there? Oh, okay. And thank you to all of my guests tonight as well, as I said on the other mic. Derek Barry, Emily Nejad, Melanie McLean, and Patrick Welby. And shout out Shantae Linwood, who was not able to be here. We missed you, and we'll make it happen in the future. Thank you so much to everyone listening to this later on, watching this in the present, and everybody in the room here tonight. Thank you, guys.